So, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the fourth and last day of the conference, International Conference on Nanomaterials, Science and Mechanical Engineering, organized by University of Aveiro, Portugal. And in the morning session, we have the first session on composite materials. So I think, Patrick, you are going to give the talk.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Pratik Shinde. Currently pursuing my PhD degree under the guidance of Dr. Chandrasekhar Raut and Dr. Manoj Kumar Singh. Our research interest is in the electrochemical energy devices, means in energy conversion and storage applications. For that, we are synthesizing different 1D or 2D materials, they are hybrids, and we are testing their performances in these energy conversion and energy storage applications. So this is the outline of my presentation. So in our daily life, we are using lots of devices or lots of appliances which require energy, some kind of energy source is required. Currently, but we are totally depends on the energy we are getting from the coal or wood or the nuclear energy. The problem with this kind of energy is that these sources are depleting very fastly or very rapidly. Maybe after 100 years there will be no energy, we will not get energy from these coal, fossil fuels, or any other traditional our energy sources. So we have to think about that. The another problem with these energy sources is that they are creating the environmental pollution. CO2 emission is especially the most hazardous gas. So is one of the most hazardous gas these uh, traditional our energy sources are creating. So there is a need of some kind of energy or energy form or energy source which we can produce the energy with the help of that, and we can use it in the long term, or we can use it renewably again and again. So for our planet, there is some advantageous sources such as Kendall energy, wind energy is there. From sun also we are getting energy freely, and it is unlimited energy. We can use it if you use it efficiently, then we can fulfill our needs. So in energy conversion and storage, there are lots of devices or the techniques are available. Water splitting or water electrolysis is one of the applications. Is mostly used for the hydrogen generation, and for the storage devices, batteries and supercapacitors are widely used for to store these energies in that devices. Uh, by water electrolysis, we are getting hydrogen energy, which is one of the clean, renewable, and easy to use energy for the various kinds of application. Basically, splitting in water splitting reaction, there are two reactions are takes place. One is hydrogen evolution reactions, which is takes place on cathodic side, while oxygen evolution reactions are takes place in the anodic side. Currently, the problem with the water splitting is that it is slightly sluggish. Both these reactions are sluggish. They require more or potentials to generate the current densities, and the best or suitable catalyst are nowadays we find was the where the platinum or ruthenium iridium based catalyst. The problem is with these sources also is that these are the noble metals. They have high cost. They are there are rarely sources available on our earth surface, and their stability is the main concern with these sources. For example, ruthenium is oxidized to the ruthenium RuO4, or IRO2 is oxidized to IRO3. Means we can't produce energy efficiently with these sources, but the stability is also their concern. We can't use that again and again. We can't use these sources, these materials for long term. So we have to find the materials which should be easily available, cost effective, or earth abundant materials. We have to choose. in order to generate this hydrogen energy. So these are the importance of the water splitting reactions. And on the other way, there are two kinds of energy storage devices. One is the battery and another one is the supercapacitor. Supercapacitor is basically the bridge between the conventional capacitors and batteries. Means batteries have more higher energy density, but batteries are lacking with the high power density. While the conventional capacitors have low energy density as well as low power density. But the supercapacitor is uh, work as a bridge between these, and they giving the higher power density than the batteries, and the higher energy density than the conventional capacitors. Currently the supercapacitors are we can use in lots of applications. Just due to they have the low weight, they are cost effective, their charging cyclic stability is also compared to the batteries. They have high power density, but the energy density, due to their less energy density, we can't use them effectively as like a battery. We have to enhance their effective energy density. Basically there are mainly two types of the supercapacitor. One is the electrochemical double layer capacitance and another one is the pseudo capacitors. In electrochemical double layer capacitance, mostly the absorption desorption at the interface of electrode electrolyte is takes place, and the charges are separated in double layer and the energy stores. While in pseudo capacitance, reversible Faradic reactions, redox reactions are takes place between electrolyte ions and electroactive materials. So both these have different principles of the store energy. Mostly the carbon materials are showing the electrochemical EDLC or electrochemical double layer type of capacitance nature, while the metal sulfides are metal sulfides or metal oxides or other materials are showing the pseudo capacitance natures. So in order to achieve the high performances in both these systems, there are several kinds of materials are available. Transition metal dichalconogenides is one of them, and spinel materials is also one of the suitable materials for this electrochemical uh, uh, applications. Transition metal of dichalconogenides are nothing but in transition metal is sandwich in between the two chalcogen atoms. What is the chalcogen atom is sulfur or selenide or tellurides. So there are several kinds of possibilities are there to form the TMDCs. For example, we can form MS2, MOT2, MO, WT2, N, etc., etc. So this is the advantages of the TMDCs family compared to the other materials is that they have tunable band gaps. Their flexibility is also more. They are optically more active. They have large surfaces. These are the most superior properties of the TMDCs. In TMDCs, mostly the MOS2 is the material which are well explored in the several kinds of applications such as field emitters, batteries, supercapacitors, catalysis, sensors, transistor, and so on other applications. Uh, so another application. Mostly is foundly mostly in two phases, 2H phase and 1T phase we can form. The 1T is the metallic phase while the 2H is the semiconducting phase. 1T is metallic, but it is slightly unstable phase compared to the 2H phase. That's why the more and more research is going on to achieve the performance with the 2H phase, 2H phase MOS2. On the other side, the spinel materials are the earth abundant materials. We can choose any metals. We can choose metals such as nickel, cobalt, manganese, or other ferrous to form the spinel material. And they have the advantages for electrochemical reactions, such as they have adequate electrical properties. They have the redox, their oxidation state changing ability, which is helpful in the electrochemical studies. So in order, means we are interested to take the benefits of these both materials. We form the composites of with the help of the nickel ferrous oxide and the MOS2 by the simple hydrothermal approach. Initially, we synthesize the nickel ferrous oxide nanoparticles using the nickel chloride and the iron chloride precursors with the help of the hydrothermal method at 180 degrees Celsius for 12 hours. Then we mix that form NiF2 nanoparticles with the precursors of ammonium molybdate and thiourea to form our desired MOS2 NiF2 nano composites, and treated it with the same way like hydrothermal way, and we get finally our MOS2 NiF2 nano composite. Uh, in the case of we are also interested to optimize the concentration of the nickel ferrous oxide. We change the concentration of its these nickel ferrous oxide nanoparticles like 1 mg, 5 mg, and 10 mg, and then we judge the performances of all these synthesized catalysts for the supercapacitor and water splitting applications. These are the XRD and FTIR graphs of the MOS2 NiF2 nano composite. In XRD, we can see that the in pure MOS2 represented as MS and pure nickel ferrous oxide labeled as NFO is well matching with the JCPDS data or JCPDS files, and there are no other impurity peaks are observed, which clearly suggesting that there are no impurities are generated in the materials. In nano composite, we can see that the intensities of the peaks are slightly reduced. This may be due to the slightly amorphous nature is great and decreasing crystallinity. But both the peaks of the MOS2 and NiF2 are clearly present in the all the three hybrids, which is labeled as MN1 for 1 m or 5 mg addition and MN10 for 10 mg addition. So these are XRD is also evidencing that the MOS2 is in the 2H phase while the NFO is formed in the cubic phase. On the FTIR, we can see that the peak around in nickel ferrous oxide, the peak around 600 is representing the metal oxygen bonding is present is there, while in MOS2 the peak around 500 is representing the molybdenum sulfide bonding is takes place. In other than these two important peaks, there are several other peaks are observed in MOS2 that maybe comes the peaks, for example, around 1300, 1400, and 1500 are comes due to the thigh added during the our synthesis procedures, which representing the CN stretching or NCN stretching or NH2 formation, NH2 group deformation. The other than this, the peaks around the 1200 and 1600 representing the stretching and the bending vibrations of water molecule. In the nano composites, all the peaks are the peaks of MOS2 and NiF2 are observed, which with a less intensity. There is maybe interactions are, but it is evidencing that the interactions between MOS2 and NiF2 is takes place. To further confirm the structure of MOS2 and NiF2, we use the XPS analysis technique. In the XPS survey spectrum, we can clearly see that all the metals which are present in the nanocomposite are presented. The MO, especially the MO, MO spectrum. In the MO spectrum, the molybdenum 3D 3 by 2 and molybdenum 3D 5 by 2 is representing that the molybdenum is in +4 oxidation state, and molybdenum peak, there is small peaks of sulfur is also appeared, which representing that there is a bonding is takes place between the molybdenum and sulfur. In the sulfur spectrum, we can see that there are two peaks, S2 S2P1 by 2 and S2P3 by 2, which shows the sulfur is in the S2 minus state. That means there is a these two clearly that the MOS2 structure is present in the nanocomposite. On in nickel spectrum, from the peaks we can say that the nickel is appeared is in the nickel +2 oxidation states, while in ferrous there are two peaks are observed, which are around 713 and 726 electron hold, representing Fe2p1 by 2 and Fe2p3 by 2, which are generally showing the Fe have the octahedral as well as the tetrahedral sites. The oxygen only one peak is observed at around 531.8 or 7, some around that, and which evidencing that the oxygen is in bonding with the metals, means nickel and ferrous is making bonding with the oxygen. This whole XPS spectra, this clearly reveals that the MOS2 and phytophore structure is successfully formed, and it is synthesized without any further impurities or any other possibilities of the material synthesis. So to judge the surface area and to judge the porosity of the materials, we also perform the nitrogen adsorption desorption method, and by BJS method we calculated the pore sizes also. For MS, compared to MS and nickel ferrous oxide, the surface area of the our catalyst MOS2 anisotrope having 5 mg addition is less. This may be due to the nickel ferrous oxide are anchored on the MOS2 structures. Due to that, the surface area is reduced. Also, as per the, it is showing the type 4 isotherms, and the material is in the mesoporous structure, which is further beneficial for the electrochemical studies. This is the elemental mapping images of the MOS2 NiF2 nanocomposites, which clearly also says, we can see that there is all kinds of elemental are detected in the mapping images of the MOS2 and NiF2 nanocomposites. These are the FASM images of the MOS2 nanocomposite, in which nickel ferrous oxide we can see that it is in the nanoparticles form, while the MOS2 we can see that it's a flower-like structure having petals are in vertically aligned directions are we can clearly see. In Mn1 addition and Mn5, there is 1 mg addition and 1 5 mg addition. There is no that much change is observed in the nanocomposite, but as shown in figure F, we can see that there is slightly petals are agglomerated. This may be due to the more addition of nickel ferrous oxides are covering the MOS2 nanoflowers. These are the TM images of our bare nickel ferrous oxide MOS2 nanoflowers, and our catalyst MOS2 nanoflower with 5 mg addition. The interlayer spacing corresponds to the planes, well matching with the the interlayer spacings are well matching with the planes of the respective materials. From the SID patterns of the nickel ferrous oxide and MOS2, we can see that there is some kind of semi-crystalline nature is we can observe in these metals, while from the nanocomposite SID we can say that it is in polycrystalline nature, uh, is present in the nanocomposites. So to study both these applications, we use 3 electrode system and 2 electrode systems. Basically, 3 electrode system we use for the to.
Your time is almost over.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
So hurry up, please hurry up.
Okay, sir. Thank you. So we use 3 electrode systems, in which nickel foam we use as a working electrode, while to study the actual device performance of the supercapacitor, we use the 2 electrode system in symmetric way or to judge the performance. So these are the LSV tables electrochemical impedance spectroscopy, we used to judge the HER and OER studies, in which we can see that in LSV graphs, the MOS10 epitope for having 5mg addition is showing the better performance compared to other synthesized catalyst, and it is also compared to our state-of-the-art based catalyst platinum carbon. From the tapered slopes, the tapered slope of the HER, the less value of the Mn5 catalyst is representing the higher kinetics of the reaction is also faster compared to the bare materials. And electrochemical impedance spectroscopy giving us the information that the charge transfer resistance of the nanocomposite is very less compared to the bare materials, and the optimized structure of the Mn5 is showing the best results. Same kind of results are appearing in oxygen evolution reaction study also, where ReO2 and IRO2 we compare with our synthesized catalyst, which their performance is even less than our best catalyst Mn5. Stability test also we perform. From the stability test we can see that up to 30,000 seconds the material is well stable, and even after stability they are their electrical curves are retaining well structure. That means their performance is also same as after 30,000 seconds also. So the materials are well suitable for the HER as well as OER studies. We compare our results with the previously reported literature, which showing that the permanent materials are beneficial for the HER OER studies. The supercapacitor performance. In the supercapacitor performance, from the CV curves we can see that the area of CV curves of Mn5 is more. That means there are more active sites available in that composites compared to the bare materials as well as the other two materials. From the GCD we can see that the discharging time is increased compared to the bare materials. That it's clearly evidencing that the fabrication of the nanocomposites or synthesis of the nanocomposites is much more beneficial compared to use the solo materials in various applications or supercapacitors. This energy density and power density of the materials is also higher compared to all the previously reported literature, and the capacity, the material purpose showing the capacity around 246.68 farad per gram at 0.5 ampere per gram. The energy density is around 21.92 watt hour per kg, while the power density is 1914.02 watt per kg at 0.5 ampere per gram. This is much superior than the recently published reports. So we successfully synthesized our EMS10 epitope nanocomposite by facile hydrothermal approach. We did their structural and morphological studies with number of several kinds of analytical applications as analytical tools. The materials are well suitable for HER OER studies. The nanocomposite in this nanocomposite, the synergistic effect is created due to the electronics interactions between the MOS2 as well as the nickel ferrous oxide. Beneficial for the both these applications. Mostly the more active increase electrocytes, increase the more diffusion of the electrolyte ions, and which is facilitating the fast charge transfer, and which is enhancing the electrochemical properties of these materials. So I thanks to Dr. Manoj Kumar Singh, Dr. Chandrasekhar Raut for their guidance for my studied, our collaborator Dr. Dattatreya Latte for their supports, our Jain University, our labs from Jain University Functional Materials and Devices Laboratory, and of course organizing committee to allow me to for presentations. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
So thank you, Pratik. We can have one or two quick questions. Anybody would like to ask a question? If nobody is going to ask question, I have one question. Pratik, you go to slide number 7, where you showed the XRD and FTIR.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So here nickel ferrite is in crystalline form when it is not in composite, but when it is in composite, we don't see any peak or it becomes amorphous. So what is the reason for that? And similar results are obtained in FTIR also.
Yes, sir. It is when it is solo material, it is a crystalline. But when it is merging with MOS2 is slightly amorphous material, and the concentration of the nickel ferrous oxide is also less. So due to that, the crystallinity may be reduced. Ferrous oxide and the slightly amorphous nature is obtained with both these composites.
Okay. And go to slide number 11. Why do we get different type of shapes when we have only two materials?
Means, sir?
You see different type of SEM images. So why is it?
There are in MS2 there are nanoflowers, and in nickel ferrous oxide there are particle like of morphology.
Yes, but if you see image E and F, they are altogether different from each other.
Yes, sir. The image D and E is representing the 5 mg addition, and while the F image representing the 10 mg addition. Maybe nickel ferrous oxide is more deposited or more anchored on the most nanoflower. Due to that, the petals are slightly agglomerated compared to the other Mn1, pure MS2 and Mn5. Due to that, different structures are observed.
Okay, okay. So thank you very much, Pratik, for a nice and wonderful talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.